Hello, hello. Can you
Hey,
hear me?
Steve.
Yeah, okay, great. We're good. And this is good. Hello there. It's Jaime and Otis and Linda and Orion. Isn't this wonderful? We're all here. So let's see. Okay, let me kill that sound. And we're just about ready to go. So we're God, we are now 20 days out from making our movie. So that's going to be impacting, what we're talking about here today. In fact, Tananarive will only be with us for the first 5 minutes because we're basically going through a process of creating a virtual model of the location and then working with our director of photography to design every shot. It's taking us about an hour for every minute for per page of script for every minute. So it's going to take at least 5 days at 3 hours a day to get this done. And this this is really feeling like a director at this point, and demystifying the process in some ways that it's like, oh, okay, so this is the way you do it. You have to, get these people together and you ask them these questions, and the most important thing I can do is to create a really clear vision and then find the people who can execute that vision and let them do their work. It's kind of amazing. So Tanana is coming in. I am going to make her the co-host. And that's just great. Is there any chance we can peek at your storyboard?
No, sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
can't do it. What we might be able to do at some point is pull out a couple of images and show them to you. I think that might be possible to do. So I will
I
try
think
to
the
do that.
3D,
But
I think the 3D imaging images would be better for reasons you already.
well, whatever it is that clearly this will only be with your approval too. It's like everything you show needs to be to mine. So I'll err on the side of caution of that. However, if you read the graphic novel, The Keeper, you'll have some good hints.
True. It's an
So some
adaptation.
excellent. It's an adaptation, so I would suggest that. But this is it's really great. Everybody here. I will open things quickly and allow Tananarive to speak
Start the
whatever she wants to say.
a 3-hour marathon session with our cinematographer, but it's heaven.
Great, 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 great. I tried something different today, T. I actually grabbed the link off of I streamed to YouTube, then I grabbed the YouTube link and I published it on Facebook and on Life Writing. So I have no idea if
Oh,
this will
interesting.
work.
Let me
But
let
if
me
it
see.
does, then we have backups to our backups to our backups, as well as hitting several different audiences. And it's time to start. Hi, this is Stephen Barnes welcoming you to the May 30th, the last Live Writing Live of May. And because of special circumstances that we will speak more about, I'd like to move directly to welcoming my good lady wife, Tanana Reeve Dew, and my partner and sweetheart, and the love of
Hey,
my life.
we're having a great week. It's an exciting week. Not, some of the excitement could be perceived as negative excitement. But for me, I'm sort of looking at it through the lens of positivity because it's all the excitement that means we're directing a film, and this is the stuff that the friends we have who directed tell us happens all the time. So Monday, we just found out we were going to have a meeting with our executive and the financiers in Japan because we have to sort of justify our pre-production schedule up to this point because they were nervous and wanted to move our shoot date. They thought since they waited so long to give us the money that we weren't ready to shoot. And they're about to learn, oh, hell no, we are ready to shoot. We're here to play. We are literally blocking every shot of this movie in 3D imaging. with our cinematographer. We spent 3.5 hours doing it yesterday. We'll spend 3 hours doing it today. We're going to keep spending 3 hours at a time until it's done, to the point where he will know the lighting for every shot. He will know the blocking for every shot. He's adding, it's just, honestly, this is what I've been waiting for. Steve and I know that we collaborate well together. We've done some amazing things together, but we have never ourselves collected a crew of artists to collaborate with on something like this. Were you about to say something, honey?
No, you're being perfect. Please take your time.
Yeah, it's and I'm sure this is only the beginning because he's the director of photography, so it's camera angles and he'll be in charge of bringing in his lighting crew. But then we get to the production designer. I don't know if you heard, Steve, apparently she got COVID, and I'm gonna send people a note about this. COVID, there's a new strain of COVID. There's a new strain of COVID going around. Our government is not going to give us the kind of updates it should. So we have to be extra careful. From what I understand, schools in Thailand went back to virtual learning. So I just remember how it starts overseas and then it starts to come here. And it's not that the treatments aren't effective and it's not that the symptoms are worse. But from what I understand, they're different but not worse. But we're now already potentially down one crew member because of COVID. So as a director, that's very worrisome because we have an 80-year-old playing the grandma. We have a 10-year-old going to school. I'm like, imagine every day a 10-year-old playing Aisha.
Well,
Um,
one thing's for sure, we're going to need to, everybody's going to need to take a COVID test every day.
Yes, absolutely. Victor Laval told us that when he was shooting his series up in Vancouver, this was back more during the height, but they were doing daily testing. And then when they skipped to every other day, a COVID outbreak hit the set. So, yeah, we're going to be overly responsible on that front. That's why my cousin, who's a paramedic, is volunteered to be a set medic. There was no money in the budget for a set medic. Usually they just bring a first aid kit, but I
Okay, by
take.
the way, Lisa Merritt,
Mhm.
MD, great, says posted in our chat that we'll be trying to provide info on our dashboard, mass as
Oh,
much as
great.
possible, hand sanitizing, and what I was thinking, COVID tests will be behind. They don't necessarily have a good test for this yet,
That might
so
be
we're
it.
going to have to be
Different
super careful.
strain. So it's that is worrying, and I think I almost want to ask our executive if we can use that as a justification for not delaying the shoot, because frankly, August sounds like a million miles away to me right now. I don't know what anything looks like in August. I know we have a location right now, we have a cast, we have a cinematographer, we have a production designer who just happens to be sick. We just hired an editor, and we're meeting later today with another VFX team to get a bid on digital effects.
Well, we will talk about the set decorator. If they're sick, we may need to find a different set decorator.
Right, right. We're waiting to
So
see.
that conversation needs
No,
to we need
absolutely.
to
I don't know
put
what.
that bug in Janelle's ear,
She has gone from
Giselle's ear
yes, she's gone
rapidly.
from yes to maybe. Although Giselle is out of town for a thing, she's not going to be back online till about Sunday. But anyway, we know she's gone from yes to maybe in terms of the production designer, which is. But anyway, it's this is just director stuff, and I feel like we've learned so much in the past couple months of soft pre-production and just the advice we're getting from colleagues like Brian Fuller, Josh, oh my God, how am I forgetting Josh's last?
Rubens,
Ruben, who did Hard Eyes, has been an ear just to sort of give advice. And
Ernest Dickerson.
yeah, we have a lot of people in our circle, but also former students have really come through. I mean, we almost got a great hire for a production designer through a connection with a former student. And I reached out to Camila yesterday. I don't know if you saw, just to tell her
No, I did not.
how heartbroken we were to lose her. Because everyone I said we lost her said, well, did she have a recommendation? So I did also ask if she had any recommendations. Why not? Closed mouths don't get fed, as they say. But honestly, the message I want to give all of you is similar to the one in my newsletter. I have just noticed this year that I've started doing things I've never done before. And I'm like, huh, why didn't I start doing this earlier? First, it was the electronic drum kit. I had worked my way up on Rock Band and thought, oh, great, I'm a great drummer in the gaming world. Never really asking myself, does that mean you could also drum in the real world? And it turns out, I mean, I'm not gonna, start playing for a symphony orchestra or anything, but I can hold my own in some simple music if I were playing with a band. And I'm improving. And it's like, why didn't I start doing this 10 years ago? And we did our radio drama. We've talked about doing something like that for years, going around pitching, asking other people to do it for us, and then we just did it. And we're like, why didn't we do that years ago? And it's the same way kind of with directing. I mean, part of the why with directing is it's expensive to make movies. But it's not necessarily that expensive. I mean, we had already taught ourselves that when we made Danger Word, but instead of rolling into just continuing to direct small projects and working our way up, we waited. We waited for other people to give us the opportunity, which finally happened, but it was 10 years later. It was 10 years after Danger Word, more, that someone gave us an opportunity to direct. So I'm not saying all this to beat myself up, but it is very interesting to note that as the kids say, at this big age, actually the kids don't say it, it's older people who say it, at this big age. I like the way big age sounds because it sounds better than old. But at this big age, I have a big age. I'm learning new things not only about myself, but about the potential that Steve and I have as collaborators. I mean, we're watching each other do things in terms of this movie. We're like, wow, I didn't even know they knew. It's just, we're just learning about ourselves, we're learning about each other. So I just encourage everyone here, no matter what your big age, whatever it is that you if even a slight interest in it, my sister just told me she's going to do color by number painting. It's like, do stuff to brighten up the days, to break up the monotony, to learn new things about yourself, especially if you can collaborate with other people. That's a whole different dimension too. Because I've been blessed to have this wonderful partner with me for the past big age, 26 years. And we're still learning. That just feels incredible. Learning is life, people. Learning is life. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say before I need to jump on with our cinematographer.
Well, that's great,
For
and I will see you there in an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, it'll be the same link as the keeper link. If you have
Okay, well,
trouble,
just
let
make
me know.
drop it on the calendar. Make sure it's on the
All
calendar, and
right,
we're fine.
great. All right, love
Okay,
you.
talk to you
Bye,
later, baby.
everybody. Take care. And any new people, welcome.
So let's get things started off today by unmuting yourselves and everybody, kind of just get the energy up and give high fives to the people either side. Because remember, energy is life. It's just like get that energy up. Whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in life, you need to have the energy. It's just and you should always be. We get energy from learning. You can get energy from doing. You can get energy from helping. So say hi. Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
Hi,
Introduce
everybody.
yourselves. There
hello.
you
Hi,
Everybody,
go.
good to see
Roseanne.
everybody.
There you go.
Happy
That's
Friday.
fantastic. Happy
Good
Friday.
morning from the left
Absolutely.
Yes, happy
coast.
Friday.
We survived to another week. And it's like, if it feels to you like time is accelerating, part of the reason is that you're not learning. That when you're learning and you're having new experiences, your brain can't store experiences under the category of something you already know. It's called the storage key phenomenon. That it's like a vacation can seem long until it's over, at which point it feels like it's over in a flash because it's all subsumed under a single category, vacation. So your brain starts, you don't have new experiences, so your brain starts trying to save storage space by collapsing things, and so time just seems like it's going faster and faster. So learn every day, every single day. Do something wonderful. You understand this. You get on an instinctive level. You get that this is true. So let me kind of put myself up here and see what I wanted to talk about today. I mean, I'm going to piggyback on what Tananarive was talking about. I think that's the safest thing to say, that this is an amazing opportunity. I mean, I never even dreamed about directing a film. I always thought that I'd write a good script and then somebody would want to make the script. and they give me a pile of money and so forth and so on. When the first time somebody asked, well, it was on a different project. Somebody asked Tanana Reeve if she'd be interested in directing because she's got a very visual eye. That's something I don't really have. But on this one, we did it together. Blackmailed the company that's doing this, asked us, would you guys be interested in directing this as a team? That they felt that there would be real value in that. And so I kind of thought about that. And it's like, well, I know Tananari would kind of like to do it, and I'm committed to backing her up 100%. So my last remaining lifetime goal is to see a movie of mine on the screen. How much more movie of mine could it be if I'm actually directing, involved in the production and writing the thing? I mean, it's like there's that is kind of amazing. So everything that she talked about there is true, but it's almost too big. There's so much going on here, and it would impact our lives in so many different ways that I need to take this deadly seriously and assume that there's some part of me that is on the edge of panic. Now, I understood that months ago. It's just like, my God, there's this huge chunk of stuff that I don't know. So let me apply the magic formula. Let me, what are the models that would enable me to look at this? Because the idea of having different models, it isn't that you stack them on top of each other exactly. It's that you look at it from this perspective, okay, and then you change, and you look at it from a different perspective, and you change. You look at it from a different perspective, so that you've got different options, different ways of looking at it. So the magic formula, let me look at it from the magic formula, okay? Is, map or model, daily action, gratitude, intention, and core. Okay. So do I have models of this and maps of this? Yeah, there are tons of directors that I've listened to their commentary about how to do it. There are courses on how to do it. The Dove Simons 3-day film school and a number of other things. Then the master class enabled me to tap into lectures by Ron Howard and James Cameron and Spike Lee talking about directing. And the one thing that kept coming up is that you need a great director of photography. If you have a great director of photography, then you get to talk to them about what the images are that you want, what the scenes are that you want, and they're the ones who tell you, can you get this? And then there are other roles that I had to try to understand that too. The line producer, creating the list of the people they're going to need, and people who are doing the scheduling. How much time do you have, and can you do this? So it's, what are the images that you want? What would it take to get those images? And do you have the time and the resources to do it? A lot of those things. So in terms of modeling, go from M to A, and that's actions. I would ask myself, between here and there is a ton of stuff that we have to absorb, that we have to learn, and it's frightening. And so the attitude has to be, I can't do this yet. I don't know how to do this, but I'll learn. And to believe that I have the perfect partner. Janana Reeve, she's a genius. She has clear vision. We have skills, each have skills that the other one doesn't have. And so the implication seemed to me, okay, we can do this. She would fit right in because of the visual aspect, but she would need somebody to watch her back and to handle those other things. So she'd have to have a really solid producer that she was really comfortable with, or of course she could have a husband. So we've been able to double off. Like, you notice that she has to dive off and talk to our director of photography, who's walking us through a 3D model of the house where we're going to be shooting. Living room, bedroom, kitchen, and those are and dining nook. Those are the three areas where most of it's going to happen. And then there's shots that are outside. We have to distinguish, daytime shots, nighttime shots, people in the shots. What clothes are they wearing based on what day of the story is it? The story takes place over 3 nights, basically. So all those things have to be done. It's more than I can consciously handle. So what I need is the confidence that I can break these things down into enough small pieces every day that all I have to do is solve those pieces. All Tananarive has to do is solve those pieces, that we can brainstorm. And what do we know? That the only means of compensating for a lack of ability or a lack of resources is the mastermind. Do you actually create a unit of the other people who you need to get it done? And that's what hiring the right people is about. And I have to trust that Tananarive is my primary mastermind. Between the two of us, we could do this. If we had to do it alone, we could do it. When once I'm looking at all these things, I understand that, yeah, okay, so how do you eat an elephant? One forkful at a time. The ant that's on the elephant's back cannot see the entire elephant. You have to actually zoom back to be able to see a whole elephant. So we literally cannot see everything that's necessary to see in order to do this. We can't. But what we can do is prepare ourselves for the first day. If we're totally prepared for the first day, which would be getting to know the crew, setting things up, getting our first shots, shots that do not require the actor. The second day, the actors show up. So if we're pretty much prepared for all 4 days, if we're very prepared for the first 2 days, and we're extremely prepared for that first day, that we have everything so that when we say action, that first day, we're learning. And on the other side of that, can we trust ourselves to learn everything that there is to learn so that we can take one more step? That's all you have to do. You don't have to believe you can do it all. You just have to believe that you can take another step. And that if you're taking a step in the right direction, the next step will reveal itself. So there's an element of faith in there. So that's map and action. Gratitude, remember, is the G, but it's the doorway to faith. If we are totally grateful for what has happened here and where we are, and we're prepared to give thanks for all of this, no matter what happens, because the first step in Stoicism, for instance, which I've been diving deep into because Jason is, our son has shown an interest in it, so I'm going to go deep. It's like, okay, but let me speak his language. The first rule of the Stoics is to do a dividing line, and on one side of the line is the things you can control. On the other side of the line are the things you can't control. And if you just take care of the things you can control, you're going to be okay. You have to have that faith that no matter what, your attention needs to be on what you can control. So gratitude gives me that faith. Gratitude for everything that we've done up until now and everything we have in each other gives us the faith that we'll be able to take the next step. The I, the intention, we want to do the short and then we want to do the feature. And we're going to trust that our allies, our lawyers and agents and managers will set that up so that if we do a fine job, if we do a really good job, we will be happily remunerated, that we will get the money that we need at our level. We just don't, our expenses are not huge. They're just not. So if there's a number that we have in mind, that if we can get that number, we can pretty much be set up for life. It's just not that much because we've been doing so much work up until this time. And one of the things I want to do is involves the BKF, my karate organization. There's some things I want to contribute there. So my reasons for wanting to complete this are many and solid, and they have to do with escape suffering, embrace joy, be of service. So I'm set up in that sense. The C, that core thing, is there a place inside myself that knows that I was born to do this? Yeah, there kind of is. There kind of is. I have loved movies all my life. I watch about a movie every day. And I went to go see the new Karate Kid movie last night, which I enjoyed. This is just what I do. I love this. It's not unreasonable to believe that when you have loved something all your life, and you have found a way to consistently get better at that thing, that you found a place inside yourself that says yes. and that relates to your capacity to actually do it if you put in enough work. I believe that we all have potentials, that the trick is finding a potential that brings you joy, that if you put enough work into it will also provide value to your community such that they will compensate you for what you do. It's like something that I love that I'm going to get really good at, and other people will enjoy it enough to pay my bills. So the magic formula worked out. Just today, I decided to take it another level, and I'm going to introduce you. I'm not going to go through this deeply, but I'm going to introduce you to something that I've basically never taught. And because I'm going to be using it. Years ago, I taught at Clarion Science Fiction Workshop, and we're deep in the workshop, and I always teach the hero's journey and the chakras, of course. And a lady asked, and she had made a number of different comments during the course of the workshop, but she asked if there was such a thing as a heroine's journey. Now, I have seen treatises on this. I believe that the way I interpret the hero's journey is gender neutral, that it has to do with any process externally or internally, any goal. However, so I chose not to think, okay, she's not talking about the kinds of things that men typically want to do as opposed to the kinds of things that women want to do. Let me look at this a different way. What if what if she didn't know quite how to ask the question she had in mind? Because this relates to a lot of people who are sort of pantsers, who kind of chafe at the idea of sequence and structure. And so I asked myself the question, what if she's really asking me, is there such a thing as a non-linear story structure? And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be a thing? If it's, what would that even be? And so I was actually flying back from the workshop, and I began to take some notes. And I asked myself, would it be possible to create a non-linear story structure? I said, what if I could create a cloud effect? Just a bunch of questions that you ask about your story, and you can ask them in any order. And by the time you've done that, you know how to write your story. You know how to do this. That struck me as being a lot more radical than anything that I'd heard that had to do with, well, women's lives are this, men's lives are that, because like I said, my interest was, what is a human life? So I said, well, how can I do that? Well, many years ago, a friend of mine and teacher of mine named Mushtaq Ali Shah, I had a certificate, a master hypnotist certificate from the Transformative Arts Institute in Marin, California, that I earned from Mushtaq. And one of the things that he taught was the Enneagram, which is behind me. You can see that behind me. Most people know the Enneagram as the Enneagram of personality, different personality types, a lot like astrology. The interesting thing is that is like 1% of what an Enneagram is. That's the part that's made it out to the public awareness. Most of the Enneagram is oral tradition teaching within deep circles of the Sufi community. There are very few written treatises because the Enneagram is actually about process. It's about how do you complete something. So there are 9 positions. And I decided to take the hero's journey, which has 10 positions. Actually, there are 10 positions on the Enneagram, which I thought was a happy coincidence, to take the 10 steps of the hero's journey and map them around the exterior of the circle. Then I thought what I would do is I would look at the connecting lines. I'd look at the connecting lines as follows. At the top of the pyramid, you can't see it. You can see the 6 and the 3, which are the bottom of the triangle there. The top of the triangle is usually painted as a 9, but it is also the 0 point because it's where you enter into this particular level. Imagine this is a circle that's part of a spiral. It's just the way you look at a spiral from the top, you've got a circle. You've got from the side, you can see that it's ascending or descending. So the 0 and the 9 are the alpha and the omega. They're the beginning of the cycle and the end. So the first question that I'm asking is, what's the first step in the hero's journey? It is being confronted with a challenge. The last step of the hero's journey is the if evolution to the next level. The hero becomes the student becomes the teacher. How does this challenge we've been confronted with relate to moving to the next level? And as I said, if we're talking about body, heart, money, and art as kind of the life writing thing, or the 7 steps of the chakras, or the 3 steps of because kind of the balance of body, mind, and spirit, it's very clear how this challenge will either require or help evolve characteristics on all those different levels. Sustained physical energy, as well as supporting my travel back to Manila for the Filipino Martial Arts Conference. A heart space. This is something that is deep in our hearts, deep in our wives' hearts, and deep in Jason's heart, who has decided he wants to be a voice actor. We're actually going to give him a chance to do some voice acting in it, okay? As well as learning some technical skills, helping to move things and so forth. So such that we can make the connections that would get him a union card, if that's what he wants. Money, well, it's obvious, how something like this both requires money and has the potential to earn. And art, spirit, contributing, once again, it's obvious. This is something that we love. This is a path that we're on. So you can see that all of that is there between the 0 and the 9, which is unfortunately at the top, but it's at the top of the triangle where, like I said, you can see the 6 and the 3. So up at the top, you got a 0 and a 9. But also, if being confronted with a challenge is the 0 point, you see this line here. This line here connects to the 3 between the 0 at the top and the 3. Now, what is 3? 0 is confronted with a challenge. 1 is the rejection of the challenge. That's going to relate to fear. We'll get to that another time, or I won't. 2 is acceptance of the challenge, which relates to 2 other numbers. And 3 is the road of trials. The road of trials. The road of trials is the path between where you are and where you want to be. It is a journey. And the challenge then relates to what would it take to fulfill the challenge? What would it take to do this? You study role models to understand the price they paid to accomplish what they accomplished. One of the prices, I'm not going to go into too deeply, David, I hope that you take me seriously, is a lot of anxiety. A lot of fear. I mean, this is like so important, and we've never done this before, so it would be unreasonable not to think there's fear. But if I am committed to learning one new thing every day, and I started doing this 100 days out, and of course there is compound interest. So the truth is, if you just aim at improving 1% per day, you could end up improving, a lot more, but like 170% or something like that at the end of 100 days. If you stay ahead of the fear, if you use the fear to indicate, it's like, okay, what is this? This is my mind and my body getting me ready for an action. I have to take this very seriously. If I study and I figure out these are all the things I need, these are the allies I need, the people I need, and then there is, what Donald Rumsfeld referred to as unknown unknowns. I don't even know some of the stuff that I don't know. There are things that I know. There are things that I know I don't know, and then there's things that I don't know that I don't know. So if I know that I need to hire good people in all these different arenas, people who've been through this process, then the prayer is that every important thing that I don't know, and I don't know, will be revealed to me if the people I surround myself with are not afraid to speak. If they both understand that we're the boss and we've never done this before. So we want their input. We want them to tell us, are we doing this right? Are we responding with the right kinds of questions? To not only jumping off the call to talk with our director of photography And James Cameron, as well as others, said that what you do is you get a really great director of photography and you get to know each other. He won the job when he showed us a virtual model he'd made of the last movie set that he'd worked on. It was beautiful. It was exactly what we needed. It was exactly what I had been trying to do. I'd bought an architecture kit. I'd tried to work with software. I don't have that brain. I just don't. But he does, and he had the tools, and we looked at that, and we were like direct messaging each other because we were zooming with him, right? We were direct messaging each other over on the side, saying, "This is the guy. This is the guy." So his name is Kenzan Takahashi, and he is wonderful. So we had our first meeting with him for 3.5 hours yesterday. We got through 3 pages. The first 45 minutes was him just showing us the model. So I was able to estimate that it takes about an hour to go through 1 page. That means it takes about an hour to go through 1 minute of screen time. I'm going to extend that to shooting time, not setup time, but actual shooting time. It will take us about an hour to get 1 minute of screen time. I'll have to adjust that. But if I start with that, then I'm not going to be surprised. Okay, we need to be actually shooting for 5 hours a day in order to get 15 minutes of film in 3 days. Okay, that's what we do. The using the hero's journey in the Enneagram in this way creates a series of questions. The first questions I have just laid out for you. It would be, how does the challenge of doing this relate to movement to the next level? The second question was, how does this goal relate to the road of trials? Whether I'm looking at that road, because that's number 3 there, whether I'm looking at that road as making this movie, or asking myself how making this movie fits into the path of my life. It enables me to both increase my motivation and to continue. What can I do 1%? They say that if you set yourself up to do 3 things a day, just 3 things a day, it's not too much, it's not too little. If you just do 1 thing a day, you've got your 1%, no question. But if you can think of 3 things you need to do, I need to make a phone call, I need to talk to this person, I need to watch this video, I need to make this plan, that's 4 things. But if you can remember we said that the goal, the basic thing is to read your goals morning and night, and to breathe, do the breathing. In this particular case, I'm doing it every hour virtually. I'm taking multiple workout breaks during the day, where I have a chance to do that breathing and turning that fear into energy and power. Today is a day off from exercising per day, but it's Tai Chi and Qi Gong and breathing and gratitude and yoga. What is it I could do every day to keep moving 1%? What are the 3 things I could do every day that is moving me forward 1%? The external structure, I can put making the movie as an external structure. I really could easily do that. But what I'm kind of interested in is the internal, that sense that you don't choose your goals by what's going to be accomplished externally. You choose your goals by the kind of person you need to become in order to accomplish it. Do I want to be that guy? I absolutely do. But I like to meet that guy. I can't wait to meet the guy on the other side of all of this. I've waited my whole life to meet that guy. So I have all the reasons. I have a partner that I think most people would agree is just perfect for a situation like this. And we love each other, and the pressure is bringing us closer together rather than tearing us apart. And as the Stoics say, draw a line. On your side of the line are the things that you can influence. On the other side of the line are the things in life you cannot influence. Focus all your attention on the things you can do, and the things you cannot do will work out for themselves. And that, of course, is magic. So, I remove this, and we've gotten finished with the talk part of this, or my talk part of this. What I would love is to any comments, questions, requests, what's going on in your lives, what you'd like to talk about, raise your hands, please, and let's get into it. Let's see. Glenn Olson, did you just raise your hand?
I
Okay,
did
great,
indeed.
great. Well, let me hold on just a second. And so, talk to me. How
Good
you doing, Glenn?
afternoon, Stephen.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
doing well. I'm doing well. I dropped in on your class a couple of weeks ago, you might remember,
Uh-huh.
and you gave me a pretty strong talking to. I am one of those seat of the pantser types. Um, and Believe it or not, I listened to you. I've been doing that now and again over the years. Um, but I'm kind of the novel I'm working on is not in my usual genre. I'm writing a murder mystery type novel
Right, I
that
remember
is,
that.
yeah, Dan Brown-esque. And I realized that I could meet your advice halfway. And so what I've done is I've, I've outlined pretty significantly 6 different scenes, and each of those scenes will be the seed of a new chapter of the book. And from those scenes, I've found a path to the ending that I want the book to have. So it's been a major accomplishment for me because I was totally stymied for a year.
Well, that's fantastic. And you keep going. And one of the things that is often true in mysteries is that before the major mystery is solved, there is a minor mystery which allows you to show the skill of your detective. Okay, Sherlock Holmes would often solve a mystery, some little thing, telling you who the client was going to be, that's coming up the stairs by the sound of their shoes, or the way they look when they first come in. It deduces their identity and so forth. So now we think, we're not told he's a master detective. We get to see it. What I'm suggesting to you is that that's the micro that expresses the macro. So you might take one of those scenes should be the scene in which your detective shows who they really are. You could, if you wanted to, pull that out and write a short story about just that scene. And now you have created your IP. You have seen how you write. You've created a complete unit of the story in that world, and from that point, you should be ready to go. But as long as you are able to keep moving forward, that's all I care about. Sounds like you're doing great. Congratulations, Glenn.
Thank you. And I like that suggestion as well. Short stories are wonderful. At least one of my previous novels, um, a whole section of it came from a short story that I wrote when I was trying to figure out what the novel was about.
Yeah,
So
short story is like going to trade school. It's where you learn your craft. Novels are where you get paid. Hollywood is where you get paid really well. Anyway, so let's remove the spotlight, and I'm going to go on to Lisa Merritt, who gave a wonderful suggestion about different things. So, Lisa, what brings you here? What can we do for you? It's so wonderful to see you.
It is so good to see you too, Steve. I just love this space you guys have created. It's a different mindset for me. Sorry, it looks like I'm gonna have to get off real quick, so I let Danny a big message. I have 2 projects. One trying to honor my mother's work, which was also a promise to her before she died. She was an artist, and it's an amazing story. And I'm trying to create an art book. It's completely. I grew up in art with my mother's an artist, my daughter's an artist. I am a doctor, as you know, and I'm not an artist, but I've got the themes. I was advised by actually a Hollywood screenwriter who was one of their friends to maybe go in on the entry point of when I diagnosed her with lung cancer and like do like her life prior to that, like her early life in Harlem and Black artists and all of that stuff, and then kind of how that diagnosis and that phase transition and the inspiration of her.
Okay, so let me stop you before you go forward.
Yeah.
You are an artist. You can't become something that you're not. What you can do is find the seed that has perhaps been left on the shelf, that has not been planted and watered. The seed that we contain within us, all of these things. When you were a little girl, you were an artist. All children are natural artists. So you might need to go back to that, find that, and talk to that little girl inside you. What did you think about art? How did you see this? How did you see that? Find the place inside you that is already the person you want to be. I had to find the warrior inside me because I'm a natural healer. I'm a natural storyteller. I'm not a natural fighter, but I needed to be a warrior in order to be safe enough in the world to speak my truth and to be able to protect my love, my family.
Right.
So I found a teacher who was patient enough to help me find it in my way. You Art is self-expression. There are fine arts and musical arts and graphic arts, but art is that sense of this is who I am, and my actions and words express this. My guess would be that perhaps in your bedside manner or in your research or whatever you're doing, there is a part of you that submerges itself so that you're feeling, if you were to observe yourself, you think, this is who I am. I was born for this. That moment, which I think that we have to one degree or another, to lesser or greater degrees every day. There are always moments where it's like, yeah, this is me. And other moments it's like, oh, Jesus, this is brutal. You know, the moments in your life, you know, your art form might be the medicine. It might be found within your parenting. It might be found in your cooking, in your photography. But I can promise you that it's there. And that's the part of you that you want to connect to this thing. Now, the what is you want to create a work of art to honor your mother, correct? Okay. Well, the why would be multiples of things, you know, in respect to your ancestors, you know, and arguably to have, you know, for self-expression, possibly to sell and make money, you know, who knows? But all those things then become your whys. And you have to go from the what and then to the why. The what is, you know, I want to go to New York. Why do I want to go to New York? The how is your to-do list. Is I need to learn all these different things. So what is it that you are going to do? What is your plan? Are you going to write a book about this? Are you going to create a screenplay about this? What is it you're trying to do?
I was going to use the pictures to tell the story in the different
Okay.
phases of her early life to
Okay, and how are you creating the pictures?
Oh no, her pictures,
Okay.
images of her
So
work.
so what you're going to do is you're going to have a series of pictures. Are there going to be captions?
Yeah, there'll be sections with like there's different themes of her work. It had different phases, and have
Okay, when you
pictures
say her
depicting.
work, what kind of work are you talking about?
She was a painter.
Okay, she's
A
a
painter.
painter. Okay, great. So you want to tell the story of her life in paintings, or you want to tell the story of her career in paintings? What is it
Her life.
specifically?
Her life.
Her life. Okay, so you need to arrange her paintings,
Right.
and you need to write the essays and captions that that explain how these fit into the overall structure of her life and how they were expressing her artistic self. Right? That is
Mm-hmm.
that's a very honorable and powerful thing to do. And then once you've got all this together, what is it you want to accomplish with it? What do you want to do with it? Where's it going to go?
Well, it's going to go to, I'm part of the Black Trustees Alliance, and it would be a way to send to my colleagues and to universities and museums in the hopes that we might get some exhibitions of her work that would go along with whichever one of the phases that they might be interested in the groupings of the paintings that each section
Fantastic.
represents.
Do you have a role model of someone who did something similar to this and got the result you're looking for?
One of my friends did it for her mom, but she hasn't gotten anywhere. Her mother was nowhere as prolific as my mother was. So she did it more as like her own memory book. I really don't know anybody who's done this, and that's part of what my probably part of my problem is.
Okay, so do you, I know that there are art installations that show the development of a career. I've seen those in museums. This is, you know, like the earliest, you know, photo or drawing or sculpture, and these are later things. So you're going to want to find something that is close enough that
Hmm.
you feel inspired, because you don't need to see every step, but you need to know the next step.
Hmm.
I'm suggesting that applying the magic formula to this would be to look at every art book, go to museums, you're looking for something that is similar enough that you can say, oh, if I did this, it would be an honorable expression of my intent. And as soon as you find that, you have your recipe. You then set out and start following your recipe, and as you go, you will have additional ideas. It's like new things will occur to you because you will continue to research. You know, what they did it in this book. They did it in this documentary about Van Gogh or about this or this. They did it at this museum. They did it at this art gallery.
Mhm.
There will be examples of this. They did it. I've seen anthologies of short stories from the beginning to current, or the death of an artist, along with essays by critics or contemporaries or whatever, or commenting on how these things worked, or the artists themselves will talk about that. Each of these will give you a perspective about it could work this way, maybe it could work this way, maybe it could
Mhm.
work this way. And as soon as you have three options, as soon as you see three different ways you could do it,
Mhm.
now you have a space to create in. You could just follow any one of them and you'll be okay. Or find, well, what are all of them doing? Let me find something that's a mesh of all three of these things.
Mhm.
Or you could go internal and in meditation, speak to your mother's spirit and say, what is the best way to do this? What would please you?
She's on the altar
And
behind me. We talk a lot. She's been very clear. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I'm glad to hear you affirm that because people, you say that to people and they think that's a little crazy, but
no,
yeah,
it's not crazy.
yeah,
It's not crazy at all.
yeah.
And you don't have to say, and please be aggressive when you're talking to me, because I'm aggressive when I'm talking to you. Don't worry about
See, I'm
interrupting me.
working on it because I've been told I'm too aggressive. My New York comes out so strong on people. I'm intimidating, and thus I'm trying to be respectful.
Well, you've been around weak people. That's all. I ain't made of glass.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
so I have to meet you on your level. So you like a little bit of this, fine, bring it on. So,
Okay, that's cool.
so okay. So basically, your next step, I would say that your next step is to spend the day at the museum.
I've done
And
that 1,000 times, a
yeah, but
thousand
with the
museums.
specific intent,
Okay.
a museum or an art gallery that is the career of some particular artist. Look for a showing at a gallery or museum that specifically is about the career or the life of one particular artist.
Okay.
See what they did. That will give you, in the process of doing that, you will learn, you will be a different person. You will see this entire process in a different way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my friend Mike did it on his dad, Sid Solomon, who was friends with my mom, and I will. It's just for her genre and her time frame, there's really not many precedents, which is why it's important to do this. I mean, a black female artist with a 70-year career,
I
who,
understand. So what you
trained.
have to do, I wanted to be a black science fiction writer. There, to my knowledge, I did not know about Octavia. I did
I'll
not know
say,
about Chip Delaney. So as
right,
far as I knew, there were no black science fiction writers
right,
because I didn't know about them. But there were black writers
right,
and there were science fiction writers. What
right.
I did was I studied science fiction writers and I studied black writers and black artists and said, where did their beliefs and their patterns overlap? Let me work at that stuff, the things that both of them are saying, and so it's possible, well, a writer writes every day, this, that, whatever that is, you will run into these obstacles. People will downgrade you. People will do this. Well, everybody says that. It's just that if you're disadvantaged, then you have more of that and you don't have access to the same kind of direct resources. But you're looking for the
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 theme.
seed.
Got it.
What there's some common. You may have to be what's called a twisted hair to take a piece from here, a piece from there. They do not conflict. Let me wind them
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Okay, and there's a way to do it. And then if your first step is to find a gallery or a museum where they are presenting the career of a particular artist, just the process of going there, knowing that what you're specifically doing is looking for inspiration, you will not be the same. And you might have to go to 10 different ones. So what?
Yeah, yeah.
So what? Just do it. Just have confidence you're going to win. Okay?
Okay. I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you so much. It's kind of like for your mom, you want it to be so right. Yeah,
Of
Faith
course.
Ringgold, she was in exhibitions with Faith Ringgold. They were like contemporaries in some degree, but Faith got discovered and she didn't. So I appreciate that, and I'm going to follow that, and I will be reporting back.
Please do. That is where the rubber meets the road.
That's it.
Join our life writing group, which is free.
Yeah,
post about your process, and Tanara and I will answer. We'll brainstorm
I'll be
with you.
so honored. I would super be
Oh,
honored between everything.
oh, this is we're going into the belly of the beast.
Oh
And
yeah,
we're following it all the way down the alimentary canal, and we're trying not to get crap out the other side. So what we need to do is to become the monster, become the beast ourselves,
I love
and
it.
to do that without tearing our lives apart. So I don't want to snap at my baby because she's my baby. I mean, I just love her to death. And we can do this. So you have to have confidence. You can do this, and you have the allies that you need to help you break it down and put it back together again. Look at it as a solid thing. What you want to accomplish on the other side, which is to make your ancestors happy, to do something to honor your mother. And then on this side, you know why. This side is just a series of what are all the different things you need to do to make it happen. Break it down and eat that elephant one forkful at a time.
That's it. And to inspire others. That's the thing. Her work, her desire was to inspire other young people. She did this whole women of color slide class. And she pushed so many other people ahead of her. I've done the same thing. Like that's what we do. So I appreciate you giving me the encouragement and the group. I feel the energy. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go because I'm doing this in
You
between.
take care. All
God
right. Have a
bless you
wonderful
all.
day.
Thank
Bye
you.
Lisa,
bye.
before you go,
Yeah.
save the chat. I put a link in there for you.
I see it about Faith Ringgold. I've copied it.
Yes. Okay,
Thank
good.
you so much. I got it. I appreciate that. I'll be running with it. Bless you all.
Great.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. All right. So, who else has a hand up? Who would like to jump in next? Has any comments, questions about any aspect of what we're doing here? And we're doing similar things. There's Nikki S. I do not remember speaking to Nikki S. But if she is willing to, I'd love to put her on screen and find out what's going on. What brings her here?
Hi, Steve.
Hello. Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. this is my second time joining, so I'm just kind of being a fly on the wall for now.
Well, you're welcome. So, welcome here.
Thank
And
you.
is there any question that you have about any of this nonsense? We're just having fun here.
I have a million questions, but none of them are popping into my head because I wasn't expecting to be here. I'm working on my first memoir. You and Tanana Reeve read a little bit of it like 2, maybe 3 years ago when Life Writing had that contest thing. Do you remember that? It was a while. It was
Oh,
a
we
long
do so
time.
many different things. It's hard for me to remember
Exactly.
all of them. I
I
mean, really.
remember, of course, because I'm like, but yeah, it was a long time ago. And I'm still
Well, let me
working on.
ask you,
Mhm.
what is it that you're hoping to do with the memoir?
Yeah, that's been the question. I mean, of course, there's the thing that you hope, people read it and that they'll get, stories that help us figure out how to do life. But I got to figure that out first so that I can
Yeah, I
put it.
mean, you got a couple of basic things. You could either have had an utterly extraordinary incident. Made a bed sheet and jumped out of one of the Twin Towers in 9/11. That story, okay. Or you could be a famous person.
Yeah,
Or
no.
you could write a beautifully written, extraordinarily written memoir that goes to the heart of something which could have been ordinary and typical, but because of the quality of the insight or the language becomes something extraordinary. So, and of course, you could just write these things and publish them on your blog. And don't worry about getting published. It's just like, just put them out there and they'll find their audience or they won't.
Right.
If you help two people, isn't that a win?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and there are other possible choices. So, what can I do to help you clarify the next step in your process?
Hmm. You put me on the spot. My mind is blank.
Okay.
I'm,
So let me put it this way then.
yeah.
what we do here is we ask you to read your goals morning and night
Mm-hmm.
and do 3 things a day to move your life forward. So at least one of those things, because it's body, heart, money, and art. Okay, so this relates to art and it relates to your heart. Okay, great. Your body has to do a certain amount of work every day. You have to make the money to create the safe space, or you have to do something that you're planning to make money with. Either way, money either enables or, you're either aiming at it or using it, or both.
Right.
So, what are you going to do today?
Well, earlier today I worked on an essay. You remember it, I don't, you guys probably still do, but you remember that story that you told about the art class and there was two groups. There was the one group that had to do like 100 pounds of art and that was the grade, and another group that did one for perfection. So I'm finally trying to apply that. And so I've been trying to do like shorter essays. I just started trying to do shorter essays. So I did one earlier today. I did the second,
Okay,
which I
well,
did.
it looks like this. You could write one essay, you could use our short story process.
Mhm.
And your goal is to publish one essay a month, let's say. Okay, you can make this adjustment. That means you have to write at least one sentence every day.
Right.
Every single day, you publish 1 to 4 short essays per month. Your
hmm
choice.
hmm
You polish and you write 1 to 4 essays a month. You actually publish at least one of them a month. You put it out there for the public.
hmm
Okay, or you write short stories. You find essays on life. Where are they published? There's nothing wrong with finding a place that publishes such things and saying, I wonder if I could publish this professionally. Other people do. Why not you? There's no reason in the world that you should name it that. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there is don't rewrite it once you finished it the first time. Go on to the next one.
Right.
And you read 10 essays for every essay that you write.
Yep.
Okay. And you keep going until you've finished 100 essays or you've done what it is that you intended to do. You could actually set that up for yourself.
hmm
So I want your commitment to write at least one sentence a day and at least one essay, publish at least one essay a month. And you're going to come on here and you're going to tell us where they're published so that we can
Okay.
go over there and take a look. And I would like for you, as well as the others, to join the life writing group,
Uh,
because it's free. This is where we can go more deeply into these things and we can track and you can find people and network and so forth and so on. And if you will do that, then we can help you more.
okay.
Okay? And I think Nikki is my daughter's name, so
I do know.
that's
Yes.
yeah. We're gonna do virtual mini golf with her on Sunday, and I'm so
Oh,
happy. I
nice.
miss her so much. I really do.
Nice.
I love my baby. Is there anything else we can do for you today?
That's it. Thank you. I'll see you guys.
You
We're not done, but I'll see you next week as well.
you betcha.
Or, uh,
All right. So who else? This is going to be a little short today, so that I can get over and work with the with our director of photography. So I'm not going to. I'm going to keep going. Evelyn Jacka, you there?
I'm here. Hi,
Great.
Stephen.
Hi, Evelyn.
I'm a little sick, so I'm on the couch today.
Okay. Well, no pressure. Is there anything we can do for you today, sweetheart?
Um, Not too much, I haven't been as successful this month in getting short stories written, so that's kind of been a little bit of a setback for me, but I
Okay, it's not
plan
a
to get back
setback
into
if you
it.
learn something.
Yeah.
Why didn't you get it done? What stopped you?
Um, well, my husband and I went to visit some family and also see Beyonce in Chicago,
Oh,
in the middle of May.
was that
And
the Cowboy Carter
so,
tour?
yes, and it was amazing. It was so worth it. But I think part of that was like the lead up to it. I was packing, I was getting ready, and then the week that we were there, I kind of was just, I don't get to see that side of the family very often, so I was kind of more focused on being present there, while still also working remotely. And then when I got back, I just kind of had to hit the ground running with work and get really focused on that and meet a deadline the week after that. So I definitely know the, oh, it looks like you're muted.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Did you write a sentence every day?
I didn't.
Okay.
That was my
It
problem.
was not the busyness that interrupted that. You could make a decision not to, or if you feel like I should have done that, what stopped me? There's something for you to learn here. So which was it? Was it a conscious decision not to, or did you close the door on your own action? No guilt, just
Um,
observation.
yeah. Yeah, I think it was probably a mix of both. I think I could have still gotten the sentence a day done. And
And
then
would you be proud of yourself if you had?
yeah,
Okay, so that right there, take all the guilt out of it. The guilt is what you've used to stop yourself in the past. Okay, because we all fall off the horse.
right.
Everybody, no matter what writer you're talking about, there are times when they can't do it. But if they know that their commitment is this, then it's just like, okay, what stopped me? I let myself get busy. And all those things are things that our egos use to trap us. And when you can laugh at it, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's that technique again. Oh, okay, I let myself get too big. I let myself get distracted. And it's the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. Why don't you exercise? Why
Right.
don't you do the basic things that we have to do every day to protect our relationships? If I know I have to do my blessing dance with my wife every day in order to stay on track. And when I do it with her, I can tell when we're out of sync. When we're singing that, "You are my beloved, I open my heart to you." I have to listen to her and do the best I can to make my voice synchronize. And if I'm upset with her, if I'm irritated, the voices don't sync. I can feel it at that core level. So, and then in terms of my writing, at least one sentence. If I do at least one sentence, I'm on the path. I'm fine. If you make that commitment, then we can coach you unbelievably. And as long as you remove the guilt from it, it's just something to observe. Isn't that interesting? I didn't do that. I wonder why. How has this hurt me in other arenas? What was the voice I listened to? That voice ever misled me in the past? You're so busy, you're tired, you're this, you're that. You'll do it later. And then you find out, no, when you say I'll do it later, it doesn't get done later. But if I do it before I eat breakfast, it always gets done. So
Yeah.
just one sentence before you eat breakfast,
That's
before
all
you
it
eat
takes.
anything that day. One single sentence, and you're on the path.
Yeah. So, well, I'll be getting back into that. And I did start earlier this week before I got sick. I started a new short story and have been working through research for that. So, trying to
Okay,
get
we'll
back on
make.
the horse, but
Okay, so
yeah,
can you make a commitment to writing one sentence today? Just
yeah,
one.
absolutely.
Fantastic. And then a sentence tomorrow.
Yeah.
Better
And then
still,
the
you're gonna be
next
fine.
day.
Yeah, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. It's the process,
Yeah.
not the position. So as long as you understand it's the process, then all this is just, it ain't nothing but a thing. And
Yeah.
you have a real writer's instinct, sweetheart. There's something inside you that has that sense of this is who I am. That your Buddha baby self, that earth blow, heaven above, no one in the world like me sense that every healthy child has that is loved and protected is aligned with writing. It's part of who you are. It's like it's part of who Tenanarive is. I recognize that. You're
Yeah.
you're of the tribe. Okay?
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
right. All right. You take care, sweetheart. Is there
Thanks,
anything we can
Stephen.
do for you today?
No, I think today's been it's always great to listen in. I love the new model that you have behind you. I think it's always cool to see different setups of all of
Look,
that. So,
sweetheart, this is something that I've never really shared. I'm doing this for myself, and so I thought to myself, let's not save this for class later on. If people like what happens when we ask these questions, then it's valid. My job is to give away as much as possible at this point in my life. So you take care of yourself, and we'll see you next week.
sounds good.
All right. All right. So let's see who has not raised their hand. And is Leone moving, leaning forward a little bit? Does she want to be? Yes, she wants to be called on.
I
She was
will.
shy. Hey, sweetheart.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And what's going on with you today?
We made our journey to Fargo, so I'm now in my Fargo office. And the night we arrived, I missed a step in the basement and kind of rolled my ankle a little bit.
Yeah, it happens.
Um, but yeah, I just kept saying I do not want to hop around this summer. I need my foot to heal. I need my foot to heal. So by the third day, I was not hopping anymore and I could walk on it. So that's
Yeah,
good.
joint mobility drills. If you look up joint mobility and Sonnen, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
You go to Joint Mobility and Sonnen on YouTube, and you will see a complete course in joint mobility drills. It's created by the smartest human being I have ever known, the smartest meathead I've ever known. He's pure jock, but he's also pure intellectual. His teaching is exquisite, and there is a complete course that you can get for free right there. And just doing circles with your joints helps to nourish them, focuses attention on them, and helps them heal faster. But you do those circles, never letting pain go above a 3. So if it's only an imaginary circle, that's going a quarter of an inch, that's enough to get you started. Then you could do that multiple times during the day. You do it within what is comfortable. And what you'll find is that every day that you do that, the circle of what is comfortable starts getting larger and larger and larger. Until one day you're walking around and you say, wait a minute, I thought that my ankle was hurt. As long as it's something that you can take care of yourself, the joint mobility drills are fantastic. Mobility is not flexibility. They're two different things. Most of the time, we don't really care about flexibility unless you're doing a sport that requires extreme movement. Most of the time, what we want is mobility, the ability of your ankle to. And the other thing that Scott said is that you prepare your body for the moments in which you exceed the expected demands. People throw their backs out when they reach for a can of beans on the shelf because they went a little further than they were supposed to. So your fitness activity has to take into account the fact that when life happens, you exceed the ordinary standard. Like you exceeded that when you turned your ankle. Your ankle was put through more flexion than it was designed to do. It resulted by throwing things out of alignment and stretching tendons and ligaments and so forth. So now you're going to go through a healing process. The same thing is true with our finances. You don't plan on making enough money to pay your bills. You also have to take care of emergencies and vacations and being able to help other people. Emotionally, you don't just have enough emotions to get through a good day. You anticipate it's going to get funky. It will absolutely get hard because that's what life is. So I prepare myself psychologically, physically, and emotionally for the days when things go sideways because it's going to happen. You have an opportunity here to become more mindful. What is the lesson in this? You're getting a small hurt today. And if you learn the lesson, you're going to avoid a larger hurt down the road. If you don't learn the lesson, that next hurt will come and it will try to teach you. And you better learn it then or there's going to be a bigger one. So right now, you can say thank you to your ankle for being such a wonderful ankle and having taken millions of steps and kept you safe. And now you're going to take care of it and you're willing to hear what it has to say. It might say, something you need to learn Tai Chi or yoga or do joint mobility every day. Take care of me now. Whatever that is, your body will talk to you. Your heart will talk to you. Your bank account will talk to you.
Yes.
Learn what it has to say. And the Scott Sonnen joint mobility stuff, it is superb. He's the real deal. And for a little while, I got to be good friends with him. And now he's
Oh,
off having
nice.
other adventures. If he's doing other things. He went into some sort of relatively secret program in the Department of Energy. I don't know what he's doing,
Oh,
but I'm sure he's having fun.
That's cool.
Okay. You take care of, is there anything else we can do for you today?
No, just I just want to start getting back to writing again. I did write another story while we were on the road, and now I got to see where I.
Well, are you in the Life Writing Professional group?
Yes, and I know we have the meeting tomorrow, so I'm looking
Yeah,
forward
we have
to
a meeting
that.
tomorrow. So yeah, so we'll talk about that, and then we're going to be taking a break while we're doing this movie, and then we'll get started again in July. So you'll be able to send us the story, and we would love for that to be on the docket.
I'm looking forward to that.
All right, you take care of yourself, sweetheart.
Thank you so much.
You bet. You bet. All right. So I noticed that Daniel Rowe. How do you pronounce your name, Daniel? Are you there, Daniel?
No,
Hi there. How do you pronounce Rowe? Is it Rowe?
no, it's Rive, but I mean, it's super German. Maybe in American it would be like Rivy or something.
No, Riva is just fine. How are you doing? Give us a short catch up on what's happening with you.
I'm in a transition. I don't know what is happening, but something is happening. I'm like a mixture between dissolving and standing in front of a white canvas. And I've been there before. And what I have to do now is like to really protect the old ghosts coming in.
Well, when you say protect the ghosts, do you mean protect yourself from the ghosts?
Yes, exactly. I've been multiple times. Like it's, I think Freud, the psychologist called it like repetition curse or something. Like and it's knocking again, like the old ghost. And I think this time I could really do change the river. So something is
Okay,
changed.
so here's what you do. You focus on what you need rather than what you don't want. There are
Yeah.
infinite things that you don't want. There are limited things that you want. So can you tell me what are the most important three things for you to accomplish next week?
I think make a clear practical plan. Like it doesn't have to be super precise, but it has to bring down the vision to to a step, like making it more practical. So bringing numbers into the game, but numbers that don't pressurize me. Because if I make the numbers too high, I snap back into the old Daniel and I'm getting overwhelmed. Um, so that's
So
the
what are
first.
the numbers? Are you talking about like time, money? What kind of number are we talking about?
I think clients.
How many clients? Okay,
Yes, something
so
like that. Like in
what would be a good
what
number of
area?
clients to start with? Would it be, what is the minimum number of people you could take over? Is it three?
I think it would be like nice to have 3 to 4 people in a group going to Cape Town, something like that, and
Okay.
really
No,
speak
so
it
let me
out in
ask you a
front.
question.
Because now,
Can you believe it? Do you believe that you could get three people?
I mean, that's the block, you know. I think there are 1,000 people bringing 3 to 5 clients to Cape Town, and for them it's normal. But I have a block like, oh, Daniel, deep down, you don't believe this is possible.
Okay, so if you are modeling one of those people or modeling multiple of them, look at what they're doing. How do they find that? You could do it. It's absolutely possible for you to do it. That's break even. Okay. So you go to a different step. What are the beliefs that you would need to have in order to accomplish this? So in the next week, one of the things you should do is to identify the beliefs you need to have. The next step after that will be to understand the ways you can implant those beliefs within you. Don't worry about all the negative beliefs right now. You got a ton of those. But you have to believe, for
Thank you.
instance, that you can create the life of your dreams. You have to believe that you have something of worth to offer. You have to believe that marketing is a skill that you can learn. You have to believe, that what are the things that you would need to believe that would enable you to take the first step towards creating a career doing something you love in this way. Okay.
I think
Remember that the ultimate goal is to be happy. This is a perceived means to that goal. So talk to me. What were we about to say?
I think the interesting thing is when I was much younger, like 30, I studied a lot and then I made a 2 weekend course in sales. And then I learned more with sales than all my studies together. And but the crazy thing is I sold things I didn't believe in and they didn't have any value. But I sold a lot of things for a lot of amount of money. And now I'm at the challenge right now is I have to realize deep down that may sell my own product, not the product of someone else.
Well,
And
if you
that
sell somebody else's product, just make sure it's a product that you would sell to your mom or your son, something that you actually think is something worthwhile. There's absolutely nothing wrong with selling a product that you yourself would buy or would recommend to others.
Yeah, and I think that's the first challenge. And the second one is I read a lot about it, but it's like I really believe sale is not manipulation. Sales is bringing light.
Say, okay. Sales is bringing light. As long as you would buy it yourself or recommend it to someone you love, then sales is an honorable thing. You're simply exchanging your time and energy for their time and energy. But you just have
And
to be sure that even if they could read your mind, they would want your product. Okay?
yeah,
So you need to
but
find a product that you can believe in, and then you could practice selling that one to get over the blockage of I don't know how to sell. Okay, once
yeah,
you know how to sell, then you can start looking at selling your own product. Perhaps this is just one course. Work for somebody else who's doing something
mhm,
good, a travel agency maybe that's actually
yeah,
helping
yeah.
people. You see, and then you're making connections, you're practicing sales, you're practicing service, and you're looking at what are the negative things. This relates to you not believing that you have value to offer. So the first thing you have to believe, you have to do two different things. You have to keep getting better at the thing you want to sell, and you have to get better at networking, sales, and marketing. Those are two different things. Okay. You can get
And
better at networking, sales, and marketing without selling your own product. You can sell somebody else's product. Just make sure that it's an ethical product, something
yeah,
or
yeah, of
service,
course.
something you would actually love doing, something that is actually of value to the world. Okay. Then you just learn. Now you read your books on sales. I looking at the other people in the office. How do they use these principles? Let me look at Think and Grow Rich. Let me look at Greatest Salesman in the World. Let me look at whatever books on sales. How are they using these principles so that you're not trying to sell at the same time you're trying to believe in yourself? Because in order for you
Mm.
to sell your own product, you have to believe in yourself at a deeper level than if you're selling somebody
Mm.
else's product.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah. Otherwise, my subconscious mind blocks me again.
That's right. So I kind of suggest that in order for you to get to the point where you can make a living selling something you're creating, you might need to be able to make a living selling something that somebody else already created.
Mm.
If you do that, that's a perfectly good intermediate step. It's a
Yeah, I think it's
perfectly
easier in
good
South
intermediate
Africa.
step.
The people are very open for team business. It's much easier than in Germany. So I already found some people I can cross business. But the other thing is what I need to learn is I would not buy my own product for one reason. I'm not in my target group yet. I will sell to the people who have more money than me because what I learned in South Africa, the people normally buying those trips are much richer than the people doing the courses.
So
Like there are
you
many
need to
guys.
study what does it take to sell to rich people, because that is
Yeah,
not the same as what it takes to sell to poor people. They have
yeah,
different sets of priorities. Poor people think rich people work for money. Rich people usually seem to work because they've fallen in love with a game that makes money. And then
mm,
they get really good at the game and they don't stop playing the game once they make money. So poor people look at them and say, oh, they're just trying to be greedy. No, they just can't. They're addicted to the game, whatever that game is. So you are providing a service to people who are at a different position. You're gonna
yeah.
need to
I have to
understand their
because
psychology.
my friends and my social circle cannot afford the product I'm selling. They are from a
That's right.
different
So what you
social.
might do, for instance, is study sales, get a job selling something that rich people can afford. A
Mm,
particular type of car, a particular type of this, and you will learn how to present. In order to make a living doing that, you're going to have to learn how to present yourself, how to dress, how to speak to them, you know, and you need to demystify that process. And then you can create. So this is how I create this service. And the brochures are going to have to look like this, and my website's going to have to look like this. And when I talk to them, I'm going to need to be wearing a gold watch. I'm going to need because they're going to look for the signs that
yeah,
you're
yeah.
of
I get you.
you're of their class, and you understand their class and their need. So I would suggest that you look for a job selling something that rich people buy. So you can learn how to talk to them at the same time. You are networking. You're meeting the same
Makes
people
total
who
sense.
could.
You know,
So,
I have
so
I
working
have
at a travel agency.
Yeah, I have very good experiences with rich people. You know, I was in South Africa, and it's nice because those people are creative. They build businesses. They have creative minds. They are most of the time they're quite in a good way assertive and dominant. And you know, I
Yes.
like being around them because they have a different approach to life. I like being around them, and
So if you
I start loving rich
got a
people.
position at a travel agency selling luxury
Mhm.
tours, you would be in essence learning the exact skills you need to find these people, sell to these people, and you'll also be able to take a look at the way these tours are packaged and sold. And all you have to do is to create a brochure or a website at that level.
Got
If
you.
they're successful, then on their websites, they're telling you exactly how to sell to these people. That it's ethical theft. That what you do is, and Russell Brunson talks about this. Find a website that is
Yes.
selling something similar to what you want to sell. That's right, .com secrets. But you're not trying to sell it online in particular. What you're doing is you're starting to understand the psychology of sales. So every day, if I were you, I would spend an hour when I'm doing my stretching, my workout in the morning. I would have a YouTube video about the psychology of sales, master salesmanship, selling to wealthy people every single day, every day. Positive input. That first hour of the day. Every today, I'm listening to Buddhism every day, or Stoicism every day, or Sufism every day, or success principles every day, every single day, Daniel, because I know if I don't do that, the crap gets in. Every single day while I am
Yeah.
exercising, I'm crawling, I'm doing yoga, whatever it is, every single day. And this is what I want for you. You want my coaching? Then that's what I'm telling you to do. Every single day, you need to be input, input, input. How do you sell to rich people? Assume that they can read your mind. How do you convey the value? Where are you? How can you say, what I'm offering here is worth 10 times as much as the money I'm asking for? This is going to be a fantastic experience for you. And
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
doing it for rich people, then you have to provide you have to be able to promise them a certain level of comfort, a certain level of
Yeah.
access, a certain level of security, all of those things. So the perfect thing for you would be get a job doing anything at a travel agency that services rich people. I mean, anything, and then work your way into being the best salesman they've got. By the time you've done that, you'll be a completely different guy. But
Got
remember to
you.
study every day, that you have to fill yourself, that you're not the guy you used to be. You're on the other side of that line. But if you don't anchor yourself now, you will slide back to being that guy.
I
If
know
you
that.
surround
I know that.
yourselves with those people, if you don't get out of that space, you will slide back. So you have to stay in the tunnel and say, okay, I'm going to have to get new people, a new place. I can't afford it right now, but what I can do is to work with people who are the kind of people I want to be with, the kind of people I want to sell to, and this environmental stuff is going to have to change. In essence, you're homeless. You're living in a tent on the street, but you can work your way out of that because you've got a dream and you believe in yourself. And there are people who
Nope.
are willing to have this kind of conversation with you for nothing, man. I'm
I
willing to do
mean,
this because
what
you
part of the
invested
dream
some
is
money in something I
sleeping
did
in
years ago.
tents, by the way?
Huh? What?
What part of the dream is sleeping in tents, by the way? But
Yeah, but
but
not on the street. Yeah, I
yeah,
loved sleeping in tents in Tanzania. We had hyenas walking through the camp. We'd wake up in the morning and there were giraffes at the edge of the camp,
yeah,
and
that's it.
we got charged by an elephant once. It was great. It was just great. So I understand what you're talking about. You know, the other thing you could do is to look at all the different people who are doing the closest to what you're trying to do possible and just find some way to insert yourself in that process so that they are doing a lot of the heavy lifting and you're bringing them your honest energy, your honest effort, and your goal is to be the best salesman they've got. And if you will do that, by the time you're successful with that, you'll know how to do what it is you're trying to do. And at the same time, hopefully you will have changed your life and so forth and so on. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
All right, and then get out there and do it. All right,
Thank
people.
you.
You're very welcome. This has been fun today. I've got to get over and talk to our director of photography so that we can get this movie done. And I would like everybody to unmute yourselves and say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
another
another
session.
everybody
Good
next
weekend.
week. Bye.
Fantastic. And closing this, as always,
Stop that.
that the divinity within me salutes and acknowledges the divinity within each and every one of you. Namaste. Take care.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye.